Robbie Williams Rewind.
So we are here in Dublin, lovely Dublin, and we've been very, very lucky to be joined by Denosh Bennett.
You said my name correct. Pronunciation and everything. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
That's a great start. Well, firstly, thank you for making time in your busy schedule, because Lucy and I obviously know, and our listeners know, how busy the schedule is at the moment. So thanks for squeezing us in, as it were.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And we know that you've been working with Rob. We'll come on to that later on for, I think, over 10 years now.
Just 10 years.
Just 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think one thing we will say on behalf of all the fans and all the listeners, you always like to light up the stage.
Oh, thank you. Thank
you
so
are
much.
loved and adored by the fans and by the community that we know, and it's always such a pleasure to see you on tour when we're out and about.
So. Thank you. You guys actually really, it's so nice to have gotten to know you over all these years, and you guys really make my experience, I'm sure, of course, Rob goes without saying, but my experience on stage just so much more, brings another level of meaning to performing. Because it's for you guys, you know. It's really there to entertain you. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
And we would love to find out more about you.
Okay.
So tell us your story. How did you get into the business? And a bit about your musical influences as well. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm born and raised in Toronto. And I've always been musical from a young age. I didn't start training in dance or sing or vocal or anything till I was probably in my early teens. I went to a performing arts high school, but as a young kid, I was singing in church choirs. I was watching Janet Jackson videos and, you know, mimicking all the choreography. I pretty much learned by watching, a visual learner. So I could just watch and like copy mimicry, which is you know, what most of us how a lot of us begin. But I really wanted to pursue a career in the arts. I had no idea how to have a professional career. I was just like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a dancer. I want to be Whitney Houston. I want to be Janet Jackson. I want to be Paul Abdul. I want to be like, you know, these people that you see on TV, the music you listen to. And so both dance and music and vocals, or both dancing and singing, were a big part of my life growing up. When I was 14, I went to performing arts high school, actually was able to really nurture that talent working professional, which is kind of late for a lot of people. Like little kids start dancing and singing from, you know, taking class in ballet from when they're 3, 4. So I was self-taught up until then, and attended that school for 3 years and really it was kind of a crash course, but also like I kind of got in the express lane, which moved me into being able to begin a career as a professional, like getting paid to do this stuff. And I was around a lot of other people who were doing we were teenagers, but like doing performances and performing in groups for different events and things like that, the TV commercial world. So I kind of got my feet wet with that. But eventually I was like, I've got to go to New York. You know, I had my sights on Broadway and I thought that's where they make all the music, the popular music, the music videos. That's where the tours happen. Like, got to be there. No plan, just was like, gonna figure it out. And after I graduated high school, I did some stuff in the local community in Toronto. I was performing live. I recorded my own music, filmed a music video, which was nominated for like a National Music Award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did a little something, but I really wanted to, it was still hard to break into the business at that point. And to be honest, I didn't spend much time trying to do it because I really wanted to be in New York. Yeah. And so a good friend of mine had sort of paved the way and was going to New York and going to the big dance centers like Broadway Dance Center or Steps. And these are really big dance studios where everyone trains, like all the people. And I would go there. I was in uni And then I would like on the weekends, I'd get on a bus, on a Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
That's sort of our our big coach line.
Yeah.
And get on it at like 11:30 at night. And then I'd wake up in New York City at the Port Authority, which is just gross.
Oh, yeah.
And go straight to a dance, like go get some food and go to a dance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes
goodness.
I'd go straight. And then I would go to my cousins or wherever I was staying. Or I was taking my university money and paying for cheap hotels. It was horrible. But this was the life. It was just the hustle.
Yeah.
And I did that for a couple of years. And then I was like, just back and forth, just getting a taste of what New York was like. And eventually I was like, right, Toronto was kind of not inspiring me.
Mm-hmm.
Music was kind of just at a standstill. And so I went to New York and managed a random open call audition for Mariah Carey and got the job.
It's incredible.
Just
Wow.
like I literally got the job. Like there's no, I auditioned with hundreds of people and then I just kept making the cut and I got the job.
Oh,
And this was actually after a couple of, I won't say failed attempts, but attempts to go through sort of more, not legitimate channels, but like I had connections directly to be booked for music video projects. And it was like, oh, she's too tall, or we have enough Black girls, we need a little bit more diversity, or no, she's from Toronto, I don't know, can she really dance? Things
really?
like that. Oh yeah.
Goodness me.
Things like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So then I just had this, I was kind of exhausted. I was like, okay, New York's not happening.
Yeah.
Go back to Toronto. And I had an opportunity to do a musical there, Lion King.
Oh.
And didn't pass the dance audition, which I was actually really shocked and really upset about. But the casting director then told me, she called me later that day or the next day. And she was like, oh no, she's like, no, I want to keep you for an understudy for another part. So she was like, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was preparing to go do this Lion King track. And then I got a call from a choreographer in New York that was like, no, she's like, can you come do this tour? Like, then I got this direct call. So I was trying to, go in a lot of different ways. But then I ended up getting this Mariah Carey tour, which gave me my first legitimate, credible gig.
Yeah.
And then from there, that was kind of like, I could say that, hey, I danced for Mariah Carey. And it's a pretty big deal for Mariah at the time, because she'd never used female dancers.
Ah.
And it was a big album. Like they had an open call. Debbie Allen was the choreographer, who was a very famous, she does everything. She's an every woman, writer, producer, director, choreographer, icon.
Wow.
And one of the people that I wanted, I'm like, that's the career that I want. And she was holding the audition. So I actually just really wanted to go see her. I was like, if I could just be in her room, if I could just touch the hem of her garment, I was like, I could just. And anyway, I ended up getting the gig. And that launched my career, my professional career in America. And from there, I spent several years as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And so that's why you might have seen a lot of my dance abilities on stage.
Yeah.
It's been, with Robbie, it's been amazing to bring that into my world. And I was able to do that with a lot of artists that I worked with Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, Alicia Keys, all had me, Demi Lovato, all had an element where the BVs, or they wanted the BVs to do choreography.
Yeah.
So there was several years of my career where I was just like getting those kinds of gigs, which was perfect. Yeah. So I had this dance career and then transitioned into singing full time, because singing was trying to be a recording artist.
Yeah.
So once I got to New York, I was like, okay, let me start this up again. New energy, new producers, just completely a crazy rat race, but was eventually able to bring that into a professional light where people now saw that I could sing.
Yes.
So for many years, I was recording as a recording artist in conjunction with having a dance career, and then was able to transition full time to doing backing vocals. Yeah. That's kind of, I don't want to be too long-winded about that, but that's kind of how I got into how my dance career transitioned, how I left Canada through America, and eventually I moved to Los Angeles, and that's where I met Robbie.
Okay.
Not just on the street, but
I was gonna say,
No, you guys remember Nayana?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she was working with Rob's then, not working with. She knew Paul Beardy.
Okay.
Paul Beard.
Yeah.
Paul Beard or Beardy.
Yeah.
And they had co-toured because he was with James Blunt.
Right.
Yeah.
And but then he'd started working with Robbie as well. So she just called me like, hey, I've got this gig and I need another singer. And that's how we kind of do in LA, you know?
Right.
It's just like, you kind of just call because we all sort of have a certain level of credibility.
Yes. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not the audition. Sometimes you just need someone to hit it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Knows the job, knows
Yeah.
how to come in. And that's kind of the premise in which she called me. And so I was like, yeah, definitely, cool. And I actually just was recovering from a vocal cord surgery.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But by the time I would have been well recovered by the time the
Okay.
gig happened. Anyway, she sends me the music. We're getting close to rehearsal, and I'm like flipping through the pages, and I'm like, why are these Robbie Williams lyrics? So I'm like, I Google. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was. I was like, Robbie Williams. I was like, damn, I didn't know he was still doing music. And we had some of his songs in North America.
That,
yeah.
Did he have a profile
When you
were
younger,
because growing up?
So I grew up in Canada, and I grew up in Toronto. One of the largest cities in Canada, and so we very diverse.
Yeah.
And so I listened to everything. You were asking mentioned about musical influences, but I listened to everything.
Right.
I grew up in the 80s. So, it was in my home. My mom, she's a Christian, so it's a lot of gospel.
Yeah.
My father was just like reggae and soul, and jazz, blues. And then we had top 40 commercial radio, right?
Yeah.
And I went to a school that was very diverse, so even all the music that everyone listened to, I listened to everything from Bon Jovi and Aerosmith and Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson to Stevie Wonder to just Madonna, Prince.
What an era. Eh?
Yeah,
we can totally empathize there.
It's not the same anymore, but that's really what I grew up on.
Yeah.
I think vocally, I definitely went the R&B side because I think the gospel music and the soul music and the R&B music, I guess that's what, and I think also seeing Black females, you sort of go, oh, that I can be that, where I never looked at Madonna. For the dancing and but I never looked at Madonna or never looked at Sheryl Crow or just whoever who I love, but just never thought, never could see myself. Yeah. So I think that's, the identity thing sort of helps shape where you go, but not all the time.
So Rob was kind of mixed in there somewhere, was he?
So we had a lot of, and I never knew who was English from who was not.
Right.
English as in British.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists. You guys had artists that were worldwide, worldwide. Yeah. And so, Duran Duran, Culture Club, Wham, and George Michael. Yeah. Robbie Williams was in there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in there. And because I do remember Angels, I remember Millennium, right. I remember Entertain. I think those were the three songs that, but not enough of a consistent, sort of follow up. And I think that's, we know sort of how that's played out, but.
So is this why you were surprised when you picked up the lyrics?
Yes! But the other thing was so this is okay, years later, I'm in America. And I'm watching MTV Cribs, and they did a Cribs on it. Do you guys remember that show?
Yes.
And I was like,
it wasn't actually his house.
No, it wasn't. And he told us that. When I met him, he was like, I was like, oh, I remember. And you had this. He's like, that wasn't my house. I was like, lies. He's like, no. Oh, my house? I was like, yeah, and you had this, there was this cave and this like underground. He was like, no. I was like, what? So then, of course, I was like, oh, MTV, you're a scam artist. Like, half these people don't live in these houses. I was like, that was my eye opener. But that was like the first visual since whatever. Okay, hadn't heard Hide No Hair, whatever. Yeah. And then saw that and I was like, oh, okay, he's still doing this thing. And I just always loved him because his music was really funky. Yeah. Like everything that came from the UK at that time was really funky, like all the pop stuff. And it just blended right in with what was happening in North America. And I say North America, I was in Canada, but as well, we were getting a lot of American TV, and music. And so I get this sheet music and I'm like, Robbie Williams. Okay.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
And then I call Naona and I'm like, thinking it's a mistake. She's like, she hadn't even looked at it. She was like, oh, yeah, let me call Beardy and just double check. Come to find out it's Robbie. So anyway, I was like, cool. This is cool. This is new. This is different. I don't remember who I was working for at the time, but again, just a new, fresh artist, different energy, different vibe. And and then so we've got this like band of misfits that's over from the UK. And it gets very different culturally as well. Like we're all musicians, but because culturally there's different things. Like there's a tea break. Like they literally we have a tea break during rehearsals. That doesn't happen. Rehearsals start at like 10 and was like a hard out at 5. Like it's a work day. I'm like, no, Americans, we rehearse from like 9 a.m. till 10 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. Like it's a full day when you're preparing for tour. Anyway, so it was lovely. Everyone was super sweet and we just went in and that's how I met Rob. And then we went and did the gig, had a phenomenal gig. And I guess this was his first gig back.
This was out of retirement shows, I think, September.
No. This was earlier. This was in March. Oh, okay. This was in March. This was like a private gig or something like that we'd done. But it was phenomenal and his energy was incredible. And he kind of was like we came in and we were like, do you mind if we do a little choreography? He was like, do what you want to do. It was so easy. And I think it was so nice and he loved it. And he was just like, right, I want to do this. Like, this is cool. Yes. Do you guys want to come on tour? And I was like, yeah, but we still had much more time to go. So anyway, that's how we met in LA.
And I'm talking about the choreography. I remember you famously saying on another podcast that we listened to that you were on, I think it was The Naked Vocalist. Yeah. I remember you saying, I'm not standing there behind the microphone standing still.
Oh, no.
And I just love that. That's Denosh.
That's me. That's the one that's the person you know. Yeah, I mean, even I think on the gig, I had a gig where it was definitely like night and day to this. But I was so bored. And I was just like, and there were some songs where, I barely sang on them. Right. I was like, I gotta do something. So like the drummer. Yeah. Every night also had like a little area of just, I call them toys, but percussion. And he had a cajon and he had actually the artist, there were maracas. There was just stuff on stage to play with. And I was like, night after night, nobody was touching that stuff. So I was like, just start, little egg shaker, little, next thing, tambourine. I created a whole show for myself. Choreography, but not anything major, just like what groove I was going to do. To the point where there were songs, she plays guitar. This is Colby Calais. And she plays acoustic guitar. Well, she plays guitar. Yeah. And there's some songs where she didn't play. And so she'd sort of look around and I'd be like behind her, sort of off of one of her shoulders. And, she would join me for a little boogie, a little groove, and it became a thing and it was cute and it was fun. And I don't know, I'm just like, as long as there's permission. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't, when we did Rihanna, it was very much choreographed. So there were but again, it wasn't all full out dancer choreography. It's just sort of staging, positioning. Yeah. What grooves are you doing? But I'm really lucky that I've been able to have that and work with artists that allow that or that even want that, because I think it would have been so much harder for me to I mean, definitely my dancing days were coming to an end, or I was trying to work my way out of that. But still nice to be able to bring that into what I do and not have to choose or, or to relinquish that part of myself.
Well, it's part of the show, isn't it, really?
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Although most eyes are on Rob, but you do look around at everything else that's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea because, I hadn't seen him live. I didn't know anything. So when we did this corporate sort of private gig, we were just, he was dancing on stage, and I finally got to see him, and I was like, oh, he is legit. I was like, oh, like I was, I'm going to say I was impressed, but I really was. I just didn't know much about him and what it, and so, it was really like exciting going, what can we do with this? And then when we started rehearsing and going to do the what did you call them? The ballroom shows, his first solo, that one, that tour. Sarah Jane and I had built in a whole little, groove for every song, and it just really started from there. But I was like, his energy is so intense. I felt like we would not be an adequate, legitimate representation of who he is or what he brings to the stage. So, and he's let us run with it. Yeah. And I mean, it's been kind of, and then we did that, and then Niana came back for Take the Crown, and then it was like, okay, we have our powerhouse, and then, then the choreographers kind of came in to stage us, kind of stage what we've been doing to kind of, and it's just been building. Yeah. Then we added the dancers for swing. Then we had Craig, who was a swing dancer, who then joined us as a BV and choreographer, who we then stepped even more forward into the dance performance space, which was really, really cool. And then, and then we brought dancers back, and then now dancers have been sort of part of which has been really nice. Yeah. It's been a nice evolution, even since I've been at 10 years, it's kind of been growing, and, we'll have the actually additional horn players or percussion might join us. And it's been really cool to just see the growth and the evolution. And I think even people being able to, I mean, it's great to have a paycheck, and this is the job, but sometimes it can get a little boring. I know, not for you guys. But
it's lovely for us to see how it's evolved over the time as well, because the show really is just an absolute audio visual feast. I mean, you can't imagine it now just Rob. I mean, obviously back in the day it kind of was, wasn't it? Yeah. But now it's a show, and we love seeing Rob, but it's the show. We're looking at all of you, it's all part of it. Absolutely.
Do you guys feel that it, not saying you get more for your money, but you're now having just, I don't know, it's another really cool experience. Wow. And this is why you can keep coming back and keep enjoying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also when you go multiple times, you stand in different places, so you see different things each time. Yeah,
and you were saying it's the experience as well, like the people, and
you see the set list change.
Right.
We really would love Lost back in the set list.
I heard word on the street. I heard that.
Maybe start a little campaign.
We were trying to campaign for that to come back.
Don't want to pressure him, but
I think you should. Do you know, I actually didn't realize that we weren't singing it.
Really?
You didn't?
No.
You just went to the next song and you kind of didn't notice.
I was like, I think Amanda said something. I was like, we're not. Oh, we really have. I was like, what are we?
Because you're doing Candy instead.
Well, that, and because when we did it was in the encore of the show, wasn't it?
In London, there was no Candy.
No, we had Lost.
Somewhere in the middle, wasn't it?
After Eternity.
Oh, okay. Oh, you guys know. Like, never mind. Never mind. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So I was wondering if you've got any favourite songs that you like performing best.
It's funny, you mentioned Lost, and I was just singing in my head a second ago, and I was like, oh, I missed that part. I missed that bridge, and I missed that part of the song.
I really like the bridge.
It's so beautiful. I mean, I can understand. I know Rob doesn't like singing new songs. We absolutely know that, and I'm sure.
Why?
He
says the crowd get bored.
Oh, okay.
That's
he
his
doesn't
thing.
like it when he feels the energy drops, but I don't know whether it does. I mean, he doesn't like it when people don't know the song. So the hardcore fans at the front all know it, we're all singing it.
Right.
But then he's worried about 90% of the other people that don't know it.
Yeah.
And even when we saw him on Graham Norton recently, he was like, we said, he messed up one of the lines, didn't he? And we said to him, we were near the front, and we said, go for it again, Rob, go for it again. And he's like, no, you're just saying that because you're fans. No one else here knows it. And then we said, go again. And then he went, Michael. And then, okay. And then they went and did it. Right. And then afterwards he said, thank you for making me do it again. I felt warmed up on the second time round, and he did it perfectly. Absolutely nailed it.
Was I like...
No, you weren't.
Oh, I didn't do Graham Norton. I did Strictly.
That's
it. Okay,
yeah.
right.
So
I was like, what? When did that? Oh, okay.
So yeah,
fair enough.
We like the new songs.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
In the set list,
or just in general.
Just in general, is there a particular one that you enjoy performing? One that
I guess you like doing kids because
I do like kids. I do like kids. It's not like, as a singer, it's not like a singy song, but it's a fun number to perform.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of versions. We've had a Vegas version. We've had so the interaction, or even in the beginning when it was just me and the singers, or me and Sarah and Nay and Rob. We've done it where it was me and Sarah, where it's been the dancer. Like, we've had a couple of versions. I just love the moments where I can actually like really interact with Rob.
Yeah.
There's just like some of the most magical. He's electric. You all know.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually feel that as a performer, and it really does feed me. So, a lot of the times we're sort of back or up, and now you see where we are on stage. So don't get as much of that, just that moment of connection.
Yeah.
It's different. So yeah, kids is always fun. And then with the girls, and it's literally just playing around and acting a complete fool and just being silly and and just, I think it's a time where we can break away from some of the structure of the show.
Yeah.
Which Rob always allows freedom within the show. Mm-hmm. But you still have to stick to the script, right?
Yeah.
Can't completely go off. I'm really enjoying Eternity.
Oh, I do love Eternity.
Yes.
I feel like we maybe have done different arrangements before, but I don't know why. It's just, maybe I'm older. Maybe I don't know, context. I don't know. It was beautifully written.
It is, yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think even now, I never knew what it was about, who it was about.
No.
And so hearing it in that context, I don't know. It's just, there's some parts in the harmonies, they just kind of make me feel really, really loosey, Lucy. I meant loosey-goosey, but I meant cozy, just warm and fuzzy.
It does it gives you the tinkles, that song,
I do
doesn't
love
it?
that.
Definitely.
Yeah. I do like the new arrangement of She's the One. We're singing a new arrangement. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm speaking strictly about the singing side of it. I like the way that they've arranged the BVs at the end. And I mean, I do wish we had more voices to really make it sing, but we're doing our best. But I actually really enjoy those songs, kind of in a new way. You know what I mean? The stuff on the new album is this reimagined stuff. Nice. So that's been nice to sing. I like that Old Before I Die is back. I remember when we used to perform that.
Yeah, you did that at the ballroom.
I don't know what
shows.
Yeah. I used to really love, and I love, those lyrics. I had a moment on stage where I got a little teary-eyed because I actually just listened. Mm-hmm. I don't know, the chorus. It was just like, I hope I'm old before I die.
Yeah.
And you guys obviously know I'm dealing with some illness. So I think, those lyrics just hit me. But it's a fun number. Not to be downer. Yeah, it's fun. And I love smacking the tambourine and Gaz wailing and doing his harmonies. I mean, Entertain is always fun. I just feel like those are sort of obvious numbers. Yeah. But I think those, I don't know. I think those songs are, for me, kind of, special. After 10 years, kind of getting to sing them in a new way.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Thinking back, we did always really love Losers when you would come and sing that.
Absolutely.
Love
Yes.
that.
Yes. That was a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the song was incredible.
Yeah.
The experience was incredible because for me, it was a moment of acceptance by this like incredible superstar. And I think my journey with Rob has been getting to know him.
Yeah.
I don't have the 25-year history that you guys have. Sarah Jane's been in the band 18 years.
Yeah.
Gaz 27.
Yeah.
I don't even have that. I don't have that. But so learning this person, this artist, I'm sort of the new kid on the block, but that for me was a moment of acceptance.
Yeah.
From him. It was a moment of trust. Again, and I'm like having these glimpses of like walking into the O2.
Yeah.
My mind was blown. And I know that it's been grander than that. But like for me, I've never seen anything like that in my life. All the artists that I've worked with. And so, but especially not knowing what his world looks like.
Yeah.
So walking into the O2 was mind blowing.
Yeah.
But then again, like I said, to have that. So then I'm like, oh, he's like I gotta bow down, like really. And then because you have respect for I call him boss, but Rob to me is like almost like a brother as well.
Yeah.
And I love him dearly as a human and have so much respect, but the respect continues to grow as I see what the career was and have these experiences on stage with him. So to get respect back,
yes,
to be trusted by your boss, that's like, that's what you want when you go to work. You want the promotion, you want the pat on the back, you want to know that the work you're doing is valid. You want to know that you have a place there, that they appreciate you there, appreciate you. Even though it was early days. So that song was the beginning of that, I think, for me. And just having really honest connection. I mean, there were nights where, and this is probably more on the ballroom, where we'd be like literally looking into each other's eyes and like, I'm like, who's going to laugh first?
Yeah, I can remember that.
Just doing and clowning. And then also having like, okay, this is getting intense. Let's look away. And having, and then like just being in the moment of the song.
Yeah.
I loved it and just never knew what was going to happen. And I think even vocally, I was able to experience something different where you're just like, give me your voice and let me find myself in it. Like, let me support. I don't want to come here and be like, Denosh the singer and and just try to show off and be. I'm like, what do you need from me as a vocalist? Yeah. Some nights I wasn't sure, but like be able to just tune in or just to go or block everything out and listen. It was kind of a cool new experience for me to do that, and I think that's also helped me navigate being on stage with this very spontaneous person.
I was going to say, being dynamic seems to be important.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, when he's deciding he's had enough, he's like, I'm out. Yeah. And you're like, right, we're gonna hold this down the stage, or when if he needs a breath,
unfortunately in Munich when he.
Right behind me.
I know.
And I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I don't want to know. Yeah. And I think Sarah looked.
Just keep
I was like, la 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 la. I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I kind of looked, and I was like, no. And I was like, someone has to clean that up, or I'm not leaving the stage. Anyway, terrifying though.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely.
Terrifying. I was like legit worried. But then your job is to keep it going.
Which you did.
Yeah, so it's helped to just kind of know we have a script, but then this is raw, and be prepared for anything. Yeah. Like for instance in Candy, where he just starts, he's chucking all that. So we're like, ooh, liberate. He's not saying, okay, let's jump in. You know what I mean? And that's the job with anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a special moment. I hope we can find something like that again soon. But
when we saw
I'm
the
grateful.
stalls being arranged and we saw you guys walking to it was
so
just tingles already even before hearing it.
And it's
one
also,
of those.
it was like kind of nerve wracking. I'm just like, oh. And I've always been very nervous to sing, very nervous. So working with him is also like broken down a lot of that stuff. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not insecurity, but just self-conscious.
Right.
Being
Okay.
self-conscious. Yeah. Kind of helped break that somewhat down for me.
Yeah.
Because it's him. Like, you don't have time to be shy or not step right. And part of the job, my job, or any musician is to stand in the state of your artist. Like, be that person, hold it down, be an arm of him, be his arm, be his leg, be his voice. So you can't be he's not a weak, soft person.
No.
He is a lion,
Yes.
you know, so you got to be able to bring that, or whatever he's bringing, you've got to be able to carry that forward.
And another moment was New York.
Oh,
on the
swing tour.
That was so good.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that one. That was really lovely.
That was so special every night.
And I don't know if you guys know the story of how that came about, but I'll quickly tell you. It's really random. Again, another opportunity where you're being trusted and asked to stand in my place and hold it down. And it just started in rehearsal where I actually had just come off tour with Alicia.
Right.
So I'd been singing the song over and over. Obviously the backgrounds, but which were phenomenal. I loved doing that number. We did it as the intro to the show, and then we actually did it at the end. We did the whole song. So we were in rehearsals, and guys at the piano, no, not Guy, Dave Hartley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got Dave, and we're just trying to figure it out. So I was just like, so the guy was like, does anybody know this song? And I was like, well, I said, yeah, I know. I mean, I know it anyway, but yeah, I've just come off the road with her, so I can kind of help you navigate. I'm like, what key is it in? And they were trying to figure out a good key for his voice. So anyway, I was just leading the vocal so that we could run the show and we knew what would happen. So he did whatever, he said his spiel, and then he'd do this intro, and then it would go into whatever. So that's all I was doing. I was just, doing my BV stuff. So he comes into rehearsal in the afternoon, and we're running through the show, and we get to this part, and he's like, right. So he's got the idea. He's come up with the idea, but hasn't figured out how to execute it yet. Mm-hmm. So he's just like, all right, what do I do? So the guy's like, oh, Denosh will show you what to do. So I was like, cool. So I'm not going to sing no weak vocal, I mean, like, I got to present it as a legitimate thing. So he feels like it's a legitimate thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but it was for him to sing, but I just wanted, melody, so he knew how it would flow. So I sang it, and he's like, right, I'm not going to do that. She's going to do that. Oh. And I was like, what? Wow. He's like, no, you're going to sing it. I was like, and then the next day, guy was like, right, okay, Denosh. I was like, oh, he was serious.
Oh, wow.
So that's how and that's what it was. And then it became me doing the intro, and then it worked really well because then they built he could kind of go change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then it was crazy because I would do this song, but I never knew he would go up, and then he was standing up there watching me, and then I think I was just doing that one night and looked up and was like, oh, and then started like anyway, it was a beautiful moment again, as I said, like a moment of trust and. Again, and those opportunities really actually helped me build my confidence on stage because I hadn't been performing solo in a long time, and it's very different when you are singing solo versus singing background. It's not about you when you're in the background, but Robbie always gives us space to be us and to sort of be our own people, and like you said, and like you saw, an opportunity to shine. So I'm glad that it translated.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, it did.
For you guys.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you've got a favourite location that you've liked playing.
Like venue or city?
Yeah, like best audience, best kind of venue as well, I suppose. Yeah. They're almost different things, aren't they?
That's a hard question, so you've been all around the world.
Right. I will say I think I enjoy well, this doesn't really give me anything specific. I mean, there's loads of amazing places that we've performed, but I will say I don't like the shows where you guys are so far away, with like the bigger. I know that they're great for like, but there is something about being able, like when you're at the edge of a stage, when the first face is like so far, that connection, sometimes it's like, it's harder. Yeah. I don't do anything different, but also there's, and I could imagine Rob might feel that. And then you feel like you have to like work harder for the whatever, to receive the
response.
The energy, the response. Connection, But of course they're great shows because you look out and you're like, wow, there's this many people. Most recently, I will say, I mean, Glasgow was just off the chain. I mean, they were just like Monday, just for a week, for a crowd during the week.
Oh, right.
Crazy. And just, I don't know. London was not great for me. But that's personally.
Yeah.
Right.
I think everyone was super excited about the show. It wasn't my best shows. And it was just sort of hard getting going. Yeah. But I don't know. What are some of your favorite places?
Personally for me, Ireland has always been, the Irish shows have always had the best audience.
Ireland's always on fire.
Yeah.
Like always.
Yeah, from an audience energy point of view, Ireland.
Yeah.
From a gig tour point of view, Under the Radar. In Camden.
Oh, yes.
Of course,
okay.
It was the fans' gig, wasn't
okay,
it?
It was for you guys.
That was really good.
I will say, do you know what? You might not hear this, but I will say, and I will speak on behalf of the band, because we've all talked about this, that was one of our favorite gigs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's just such a special feeling. It's very hard to even describe it.
We got to play a lot of songs that we love. Yeah. That, we know, there's the album, there's the singles, there's the hits, what was popular here, what was popular there. I think we all really enjoyed that show. And just, again, we were all wearing pajamas and lingerie. Well, we were lingerie. But I'm like, well, I sleep naked, but this is as close as you're going to get. But just the looseness of it. I think his energy was fire. Yeah. Not forgot about that one, but that was a really good one.
It must have been hard work for you behind the scenes beforehand, rehearsing all those different songs.
Some of them, a lot of them we knew, but again, like we moved through material, and we moved into, I don't think we weren't touring that year. We just sort of had, right?
No,
we weren't touring.
In Vegas.
Yeah.
Hyde Park, Under the Radar, and then some Christmas
songs. I think that when you kind of lock into, we had our Vegas set, and then that's something that you're doing all the time. Mm-hmm. So your brain needs a little bit jogging, but I loved that set list. We were all like, can we save this? Because this show needs to happen again, or another version of this show. More often. And I think he enjoys those as well. But, it's if we're doing corporate gigs or private gigs, it's kind of like, this is a general list. And then obviously the show the concert is hard to decide, okay, again, you got the hits. What do you want to promote? What do you, so many things go into creating the set list. So, but it'd be nice to have those special ones every now and again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be asking him for that.
Yeah. And I think, I think my first experience with this tour, which was Take the Crown, for me will just always stand.
Yeah.
Stand in a very special, or sit in a very special place for me. And then that was a stadium tour, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a stadium tour. So I think, I probably wasn't thinking. I think now that I get to know some of the faces, it's being so far, you're on this side of the stage, and then you see you can't, you're but it's that was one of my favorite tours. Oh. Yeah,
slightly different question, but I'm intrigued to know: is there a funniest moment a funny moment that kind of sticks in your mind?
I mean, it's not funny to me, but everyone else laughs.
Oh dear!
Oh my gosh!
Here we go.
Oh no, we're inside. So, Beginning of the tour. I think this was Take the Crown. And I think were we here? Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
We were here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dublin.
And I'm sure you remember it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
And the stage was slick. And we had these ramps. So I remember we were on the main stage, and then the BVs moved to like sort of a front stage to do a song.
Yeah.
And then from there we were supposed to go down ramps. So I was meant to follow Rob down the ramp, and he was going to jump on the head, and the head was going to move. Well, I was wearing like whatever, I don't know, 5-inch Jeffrey Campbell boots with spikes. And I'm like, yeah, I got my rocker chick vibe on. And, all rehearsed or whatever. Of course, opening night, I slide on down that ramp.
Oh, no.
My arm hits the back of the stage.
Ow.
So then my mic went flying. I didn't even realize my mic went flying until I looked for my mic and was like, my mic's not here.
Oh.
Went flying, and I'm just like laid out on my
no.
back, like, right, okay. I mean, not that it felt like it was forever, but I was like, okay, recover, get up, keep singing. So I got up, was like shook, and then had no mic to sing. So I just stood there and lip synced the rest of the song. It was a mess. And meanwhile, it's just funny. I'm like laid out, and Rob's just gone and left me, and he's sailing on his little head going forward. And I'm like, wait for me. No, it wasn't wait for me. But I was meant to then go to that down the ramp. And I think me and Nay were left, and then Sarah Jane was stood on the thing. Anyway, so that was a funny moment.
The band were just laughing.
Oh my God, just howling. Oh. They're like, sing her down, sing her down. This is the musical director. Anyway, at the end of that song, I had a moment because I was just like, I need my mic, and I went back. No. This is what happened. Sorry, my mic flew onto the stage. I grabbed it, but it completely broke in.
Oh.
Because it smashed, so the head was... Wow. So I just like rolled it back, kept singing and dancing, and then the song ended, and I went like the backstage where, thank goodness, the sound guy was like underneath the stage right behind Beardy, and then they had sorted me a new mic, and then I just came back out. So that was me in the rain in Dublin, opening night. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But actually, I wasn't stressed about it. I was just like, oh my God, why? So
we've seen Rob do it once or twice.
Yeah.
It looks as though stages are dangerous places at times.
I mean, I don't know why we wear these things, but yeah, that happens. I think so. I think Rob farted in my face during one show. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And he looked back and he waited for it to hit me. And I mean, I wanted to say "you bastard," but I didn't. I probably had some lyrics. I don't remember what song it was.
That's not something most bosses do these days, but anyway.
I mean, it just happened, and he knew it happened, and I was right behind him, like, I just ate a fart. Great. So yeah, that was a good moment. That was something that I found funny. Those are two examples of like stuff being done to me. I don't know, but anyway. It happens. You can't control it, so you really just have to laugh about it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So what's the best thing about working with Rob?
I think for me, the learning. I'm always just a student of performance and my job. And there's never a moment where, like the other day, I asked him, I'm like, how do you, do you go out there when you give, you're on, like it's dancing, it's singing, but the talking, the banter, being witty and clever. I mean, I know that's just a part of who he is, which just makes it magical. Yeah. Being funny and moving and I'm like, how do you, I just really was like, what's your secret? Yeah. I was like, do you get tired? And he was just like, no, I think he just kind of goes on adrenaline. And so of course there's nothing to learn from that, but I still just, I don't know, some part of me, every show or every so often, I just get a new nugget that feeds where I'm at. Yeah. As a performer. You guys may or may not know, but I coach and teach performance as well. So it's always great to be in a situation where you're learning on hand, like you're learning as it's happening, and you can take fresh information and feed it to your students. And so that for me has been really, really great. But also I think it allows me to grow. Like I feel like I'm still growing as an artist, as a performer. And for me, that's an important thing. I don't know why. I just always like to learn, and I'm always about, I don't want to say we're not good as we are, but I'm always about how can I be better, but not to say that I'm not good. It's more just like, I want to learn more. I'm like, I want to learn more. I want to do more. I'm curious about this and I'm curious about that. And I think in my off stage in my studies of just performance and vocal science, and how, I think having those experiences and then coming on tour and sort of seeing how they're applied is really interesting to me. I know that sounds really geeky. But then the other thing is really just the experience. And he's so much fun. He's so much fun. I know that for the 75, 90 minutes, 2 hours, however long we're on stage, I'm going to have fun. Yeah. That I don't know what's going to come. You just don't really know. No. He's like that, right? Yeah, exactly. And so I can feel like that's one thing you can always count on, Yeah. That it's going to be fun,
And we were going to ask this earlier on, actually, but is that what do you do when you're not working with Rob? I mean, you talked about the coaching and vocal coaching and teaching.
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously we had this, sort of 2-year pandemic, hiatus from live performance. Yeah. And so, nobody knew what to do with themselves, really. Yeah. We did all manner of everything from sleeping to, adopting animals, gardening. Yeah. So for me, I went into gardening, which I love now, and really getting into like agriculture and our earth and feeding yourselves. And that was what I went to. And then obviously, like I said, the coaching, I just took more courses on vocal health and vegan nutrition. And I just kind of, I don't know, again, like, I just was like, what can I learn? What do you do? Right. Yeah. That's pretty much what I do. I mean, I cooked a lot because I was experimenting with ingredients and different types of food. I went like really deep into plant-based cuisine and studying yoga. Unfortunately, I discovered at the end of 2020, that first year, that's when I was starting to feel unwell like halfway through the year. And then by the end of it, I'd gotten a diagnosis of cancer, not knowing what specific type of cancer. And then about 2 weeks later, after like biopsies and blood tests and things like that, got a specific diagnosis. So then the second year, 2021, was really, didn't do much to have to, like I didn't have surgery or anything like that. I take a hormone injection, which kind of is like blocks tumor growth and kind of stabilizes the disease. So that was actually really helpful and just carried on. I mean, my exercise was decreased quite a bit because fatigue is one of the sort of symptoms of the disease. But I still carried on with what I could do and was pretty healthy and active. And then towards the end of 2021, things became a little bit unstable. I had to have, the disease can affect your heart. Yeah. In my case, it did. And so I had to have open heart surgery to replace 2 of my valves by an amazing surgeon. And that all went really well. My heart is functioning fine. I am vegan, but I do have a piggy heart now. Oh, God. Yeah, I have a what they call, you can either get a mechanical valve or you can get a bio sort of organic valve, which I think either comes from cows or pigs. So I think I have a piggy heart. But I'm like, it's a great cause, I think, you know, and I'm very grateful that.
Is there a long recovery period for that? How will you
for the surgery? 6 weeks, because they crack open the bone in your chest. So 6 weeks to heal. And then you should go through some level of, and while you're healing, you're doing minimal, they're like, you can only carry this 2 kilos max. Yeah. You have to, do your walks. You have certain little rehab exercises you need to be able to do. And then you go into a rehab program for about 6 weeks, twice a week, where you get your breathing function reinstated. So you're working all your respiratory muscles and all of that. And again, just building your cardio back and just getting back to a base health and function. Yeah. So I went through that at the end of last year. And then I went into, one of my tumors was becoming a little unstable. And so I began a course of radiation shortly after that. So that was kind of my time away in the past couple. Well, during that time from Robbie, and then we actually New Year's Eve of 2021 had started up again. Yeah. We did our first gig. Yeah.
In Dubai, was it Dubai?
In Dubai, which I attempted to do semi-successfully. Yeah. It was definitely too early. Right. But the way that I had planned the gig and the way we sort of rehearsed it seemed fine, but things changed a bit between the rehearsal and the show. And I was, I don't know, delusional. Because I hadn't even done a lot. I hadn't even gone through a small period of that rehab. Yeah. Would have been fine. Yeah. But it was tricky because of, the holidays. So they're like, okay, we'll start you in January, whatever. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. So I just kind of took a chance.
You just wanted to get back out there, I guess.
I did. I'm not going to lie. I did. I wanted to work. I wanted to see everybody. Yeah. I needed to earn money. Yeah. And I thought it would be safe. I thought it would be safe. I'd flown to London to do the rehearsal, and I thought it would be safe. I thought it would be kind of easy. But it was a really crazy time, too, because COVID was sort of gone rampant. I think we were on variant number 3. Yeah. Everybody was dropping like flies. The protocol to get there with the testing and getting in the country. Once we were there, we all had to isolate in our rooms. We had to take tests to even come out of our room to be able to be safe. The masks, the distancing, it was mental. So we lost 3 dancers. So we ended up doing a show with 3. It was supposed to be 6 girls. We ended up doing a show with 3 girls. 2 of them were brand new. Wow. And so I think in my dancer brain was okay, Denosh, you have to step in. Not in dancing, but just in filling in the blanks a bit, bringing more of that energy, because the dancers are an entity unto themselves. So they would have, but because we lost 3 girls, I felt okay, Rob's going to need support. How can we be a bit more of that? And I wasn't in a place to give it. No. And just little things. I mean, walking down the stairs, off the riser, going to stage right was what winded me. Doing monsoon, I had to stop doing I couldn't put my hands across the water. I was literally rocking back and forth. At one point I was getting so lightheaded. Yeah. And I stopped singing, and I was just and then I was I'm supposed to be singing. I was disoriented at one point and made it back to my stool. There was an extra step added. I hadn't worn heels in 2 years. So many things, but wearing trainers, but when you put on a heel or something, your thighs are activated. It's more energy so those little things, and all of that was too much. It was too much. So thank goodness there was no accidents on stage, but I had to leave the stage. And but I was able to, because of what happened, that was my opportunity to tell everybody what was going on. Okay. And not only 2 people knew at that point. Yeah. And I was waiting for the right opportunity, and I'd hoped to have a time separate to speak before the show. It just didn't happen. Yeah. But also everything happens for a reason. And since I spoke to Rob about it, he's just been so loving, so gracious, so supportive. I mean, the management in general.
Yeah.
And then I, of course, shared it with the band, and everyone's just been great. So, that's kind of been what my time away looks like recently.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us.
Of course. No, thanks for giving me the space to share that.
And how are you doing now? I mean, you're on tour again now.
Right.
Doubling a few dates in. How are you?
We always have this, me and my friends have this phrase, this dancers, like these girls from New York that we used to dance with. And I think the phrase came from P. Diddy or something, but we always say we're bubbling in Dublin. So every time I get here, I'm like, oh, I'm about to bubble in Dublin. I'm about to be bubbling in Dublin. So it's a vibe. I mean, I love Dublin as a city. Yeah. I think there's, it's kind of like, oh, we've come to the end of this section of it. And I finally feel like I had a bit of a cloud over my head. I felt like I was dragging. I just finished my last radiation treatment prior to starting rehearsals. Right. And so I didn't really have like a good amount of time to just sort of recover. It's kind of recovering whilst starting work. Yeah. Which, I know it's not ideal, but it wasn't so hard on my body, but then it was like, but just in like the very basic ways, but that would affect what I do, like just being tired.
Yeah.
I felt like I said, I had a cloud over my head for a while that didn't lift until I got to Manchester, I think. Okay. I think there was, obviously just getting the pace of the show. Yeah. Being a bit sad about not being the old Denosh on stage. Seeing Rob, seeing the dancers, and just wanting to be my full self in that, and just not being able to at the moment. That's been hard, and I think it's taken me a minute to shift mentally, to not push myself, to accept that this is where I'm at right now, to be grateful that I've even come this far, and that I'm able to do what I can do and still bring meaning, and it still has meaning, it still has purpose, and I still feel valid, So all of those things, physically and mentally and emotionally, have been part of my journey. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I love my job, and I do want to do it as long as I can. And I'm finally feeling good about what's happening on stage with me, or what I'm bringing. I feel like, okay, I'm an equal contributor here. And it's, like I said, the crowds have been incredible. It's been really great to see you guys again and reconnect with everybody. That day I came down and I was like, I just gotta hug you guys. I don't know. It was emotional seeing you there, and I just, I had a great show, and I was just very grateful for, I mean to rinse that word, but it is what it is.
Well, we were very grateful for you walking all the way. That was a long way round.
Well, I asked Carrie, I was like, Carrie, I need to get out and see. He's like, oh, you want to go see some of the friendlies? I was like, yeah, I need to go see my people.
And I was facing the other way at the time, looking at someone walking around. Denosh is here. It was so lovely.
And I had to see some other people on the way, but I was like, no, I'm going to see Matt and Lucy. Because, I just didn't get to... Also, just the way that the show goes, after we go backstage, we sort of run off and we're in our thing. Right. So we're, but I was like, oh, Rob's doing this whole sing-along thing, and actually everyone's going to be eating food. Right. And I was like, let me just take a minute to go around and say hi before they, and I was like, I figured they wouldn't be able to rush out just because you guys were at the barrier. Yeah. So I'm enjoying it now. I'm really looking forward to some rest.
Yes.
And also really looking forward to Europe. I saw that there was a third show added in Amsterdam, so pray for me. But I've invited. I'll be at home. Yeah. So I've invited. I mean, my in-laws are coming. My husband and his work team are coming. Oh, okay. I think half the doctors at my hospital are coming. Well, I hope they are. I told them. I was like, my radiation team. They were like, when they found out that I worked for Robbie Williams, they were like, okay, we're going to give you this letter, because they were like, no, you can't leave. You have to do 7 days at home. And I was like, I have to work in 5 days. I need you to help me make that happen. So then they were like, okay, this is how you do it. It's better if you take the train, because they were like, you're radioactive. The amount of radiation that is in my body, it decreases every day. And there's rules, but obviously if you're out in public, you have to be really careful with other people. And it's not about you. It's not about you, but it's about affecting them. Oh, right. So she kind of figured out and told me how to, like, what I say, pimp it, like how to make it work. And then I didn't even read the letter, but they give you a letter so that when you travel, it tells you. So if you go off in the scanner. When you're going through, in the scanner, they're like, okay, well, so they'll let you go through, but they just know why you've gone off. It's gone off. So when I read the letter, I was like, oh, it was like, they cleared me. Like, I mean, what she wrote was basically like, she hooked me up. But it was fun. I didn't travel to 5 days. At 5 days, very minimal radiation. And I didn't go off in the scanners, but she helped me out after she knew. So I was like, right, okay, that's two tickets right there. Okay. So I'm excited about Amsterdam and like the rest of the year. Yeah. Are you guys joining us?
We're going to Barcelona.
Oh yes, but you guys picked the bougie places.
We
okay.
love Barcelona.
And the Albert Hall.
Oh, we got the Albert Hall
okay.
This weekend coming. Next weekend. Yeah.
Oh, don't know what that show's gonna look like, but no.
That's for Better Man the film. So
I know.
Going to be in the film. Well, you're definitely going to be in the film.
I don't think so.
No.
Maybe the back of my head. I don't know. I think it's more for you guys. It's more about the audience.
The audience.
We're just there to entertain you, make sure that you're smiling.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm fine. I love the Royal Albert Hall. So feeling good. Feeling excited.
So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at robbiewilliamsrewind.com. You can also email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's @RewindRobbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. Please check the website for more details. Thank you. Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
And I think you've probably already answered this, but what are your hopes and aspirations for the future now? I think you've answered some of that, but I'd love to hear that.
In general?
You.
Well, regarding my health, I mean, I would love to be disease free.
Yeah.
The way that this disease works is that once it's kind of spread, it's harder to cure. So they focus on quality of life, which for me, as it stands, is good. This good prospect of living a long, healthy life. Okay. So that's number one.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
And I would love to grow old with Robbie too. Yeah. Work. I do enjoy that. But I will have to see how it works out with my body.
Yes.
I'd love to do more traveling that's not with the tour. Mm-hmm. There's so many places we've gone to, and I'd love to just like enjoy them, on their own, just have that time. Yeah. But I'll still, I still love traveling, and I'm just hoping to spend more time with my family. Yeah. I think, coming out of, pandemic, and my family's in Canada and the US, so it's a bit harder to get over to see them. Traveling is not as fun. Not fun, but it's different now.
Yeah.
And I hope to be on a farm somewhere with land and animals and growing my food and feeding people, and just I think I'm really focused on just quality of life and what that looks like, so open to explore that, but it's nice to have this back in my life right now, so just gonna enjoy it as long as I can. What about you guys?
I don't know.
Well, you guys do a fair bit of traveling.
We do.
Anyway, right?
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're focused on making sure the kids are okay at the moment.
Right.
We've got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old.
11.
And so who looks after them when you guys are running around?
Our parents.
Our parents,
they live near each other. So.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
they're like, Mom and Dad are gone again.
Yeah. They kind of think it's, I know they know it's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But,
are they Robbie fans? Do they know Robbie's stuff?
Well, they obviously know it.
Right.
they know it. Chloe's a little bit more musical than Luke.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe that she does like it, but I don't think she wants to.
She doesn't want to.
Right.
Because Mum and Dad like it.
Right, so
it
it's not
be,
cool.
Yeah.
No.
But
she prefers Ollie Murs.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I don't know. I mean, we've never really talked about it for a while, have we? This podcast itself was.
I was going to say,
one
this
of our
podcast
sort
is
of
really
ambitions
cool.
that got cooked up. Lucy had the idea one day, and she said, "Shall we do it?" And I said, "Yes." And she wasn't expecting me to say it. And then we had a very kind TV producer friend who kind of helped us get started and talked to us about it and said, "Yeah, of course you should do it." So this is one thing.
I think it's brilliant.
Achieved.
I've followed. I mean, I follow it, and I've watched a lot of the interviews. I think it's really great what you guys do.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
It's taken over our lives,
Right?
In a nice way, because we're working together. All that we both work, but we're working together.
But this is a
enjoying it
passion thing, and
together.
I think that's so important. I would love. My husband and I are trying to get into that space, and I think it is something agricultural and. So I talked about moving to Lisbon and buying land. He's like, I thought I was gonna have to talk him up into it, and he was like, I actually like that idea. Like I was like, oh, okay. So I think that's really great. I just having a passion. And life's too short, man.
Yeah,
you gotta enjoy.
Exactly.
You gotta enjoy
this
stuff.
Passion, and it's good to have a joint project.
Yes,
It's something nice. We ought to go to gigs together, but actually to produce and create this together as well. It's just a lovely thing to do. So,
thank you for thinking that I could be a part of it or have something to offer. It's been so lovely to talk to you. It's funny because back in the day I wanted to actually do the reverse. I wanted to do one with the fans. Maybe I still will.
Yeah.
Because I had legit curiosity questions, and I was just like, I still want to do it, but it's a matter of time and execution. But I think now, obviously having the relationship with you guys, I could probably execute it a lot easier. Yeah. More than just, bless not saying the randoms, but the people that I don't know, but people who've been legitimately following. And just from having little conversations, just been so that's okay, interesting.
It is a very interesting world, which is why we've had a special guest fan on. We've had
each episode.
To join us. So it's not about us; it's actually about their stories and where they've been, and it's so lovely to hear different generations and people from all over the world. Yeah. And even today, we met someone in the queue from Venezuela. It's his first gig ever. Tonight. He lives in Spain.
Oh my God.
And he's in the queue with us. And he's so excited. He said, my dad always used to play Robbie Williams. And we're finding more and more people that are kind of probably 20 years younger than us.
So that's interesting because I looked in the crowd. I think especially the last show. Saw a lot of young a lot of young women. I was just like, what are you doing here? I don't remember what show it was, but remember what tour was it where Robbie would be like, is there anyone younger than 18 or 21? And he would be like, and then he'd be like, yeah. And he'd be like, because he would be shocked that he's like, young fans?
Yeah. You can tell him that we are noticing a new generation coming through. And they're queuing.
And they're queuing for, okay. Do you know what? I think that's amazing for him because that just, again, it extends his lifespan and what he's able to do. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You are so welcome. I'm so glad we made this work one way or another.
You are such a kind-hearted soul, and we do enjoy seeing you perform and sing, and you are absolutely part of the show. And
thank you.
Yeah. Your energy and passion are an inspiration, especially with what you've been going through, and we really appreciate you sharing that. Being with us and taking all this time.
Thank you.
I mean, we need to let you rest your voice.
That's okay.
You're going on show tonight.
That's okay. I've got time. It's all good. I mean, otherwise I'd just be probably laying in bed watching reruns of some Netflix show that I shouldn't be watching. So yeah.
Oh,
so I did hear there's
much.
a nice. No, you're welcome.
Robbie Williams Rewind.